In the last few episodes, we've focused on reducing traffic in the downtown core, restricting vehicle access, improving walkability, and expanding our public transit options. But that shift has pushed more cars to the outer neighbourhoods. While we've managed to upgrade some key areas, like improving access to trams and buses around the train station, residents on the far side of the Phoenix Bridge are now feeling neglected. What was once a quiet avenue, originally built to redirect traffic around the city, is now completely gridlocked. So today we'll be making major changes to the south side of the Phoenix Bridge. We'll be replacing outdated infrastructure with a layered road system, boost density by replacing low residential homes with some mixed-use apartments, new services, schools, and upgraded internet infrastructure. We'll also activate a stretch of the riverbank with new office development while adding green spaces, pedestrian paths, and everything needed to turn this overlooked neighbourhood into a vibrant part of the city. Welcome to Sunny Isle. Last time we worked on the central district here where we've got the train station, the new bus station. We also put down this beautiful looking flyover with the tram running through the middle with the grass overlay on the tracks, which I think is a nice little addition. And traffic through here hasn't been too bad, to be honest. We're halfway through the day and I'm not really seeing that much of a backup. However, the story is a little bit different in other parts of the city, and we'll get to that shortly. What I did off camera is I also updated the high-speed one. So Tygon's Rail Infrastructure Pack now comes with a 10-car high-speed train, which has faster speeds, and you can see it's just a little bit longer than the original, and it just fits into the train station, which is absolutely gorgeous. So we'll see a lot of people coming off this now. We just speed it up a little bit. Lovely, absolutely great addition to the city. So today's area of concern is the other side of this bridge. You can see we've got quite severe traffic jams as you come off the other side. And the main reason is we've got a lot of people moving along Phoenix Bridge Road. They're heading out of town. They're heading to the South Bay district. They're also coming up to this corner here where we've got the 3 flats and heading down this main road that takes you all the way down to Old Town. On top of that, we also have a right turn that leads you into the Reuben district. And so with all these destinations on one road, it's starting to become a little bit overwhelmed. So I want to have a look at making some upgrades and streamlining some of these connection points. The first thing I'd like to do is upgrade the number of lanes that we've got on this road. At the moment, we're using this custom road that only has 2 lanes with parking. And I think we could expand this to have 3 lanes. I don't think 4 lanes is necessary, because we don't have that much traffic heading towards the bridge itself, whereas coming off the bridge is quite severe. And we're aiming to bring them down to this corner here, and anyone that wants to go straight on can stay on the road itself, head over the junction, or they can make a right turn past the football field, or if they stay in the left lane, they can use this slip road to go straight onto Reuben Road without waiting and head straight out of town. So I'm going to use the picker tool and select the asymmetric wide road, which I've already started to use in some parts of this. And then I'm going to come through here and start to upgrade this. Okay, with that road upgraded, I'm already starting to see both lanes filling out quite fully now. But I've noticed here we've got a little bit of an issue because this node is so wide. It's not really giving that much opportunity for vehicles to come over and wait at the junction. And so when the lights turn green, we'll just see here, we only have a few cars go through. So I think The issue is this turning lane here is far too close to the main junction. So I'm thinking we need to bring this back a little bit and give them a little bit more space so that they can have a few more vehicles go through. I'm not keen on this road not having a sidewalk, so I did create one in Road Builder. So if we go down, I've called this narrow one lane one way road, so we'll just place that down, and I think we can just simply upgrade it through here. And yeah, that looks good. We've got a little bit of a sidewalk there, just in case anybody wants to walk around this corner. They don't necessarily have to cross any of these roads, which they had to before. And I think that's working. We've got a few more vehicles waiting on this side of the junction here now. The problem is we've got this Oak Street here, which is creating that gap. The only other thing I think we could do to reduce that gap is to convert this into either a one-way street or a pedestrian street. So let's try the one-way street for now and see if that does anything. I wonder if they're willing to go through that junction, that box there. Doesn't look like it. And if we turn off right turns there, let's see if that does anything. No, they're still refusing to fill out that gap, so let's try use the pedestrian road instead. Okay, well, it didn't seem to solve anything, but it does look like we've lost most of the traffic coming from Phoenix Bridge Road, so we'll leave it at that. We've got a little bit of traffic on this pedestrian road, and it's likely because we've updated some of the pathfinding. It's a little bit screwed up for now. So we'll have to come back to that in the future to see if it's still an issue. But at the top end here, I'd like to start to work on a little bit of a mini mega project. So similarly to this section of the bridge where we prioritize the movement coming from the roundabout down here and then up and over in a fairly fluid and free movement, I'd like to do something similar here where instead of this roundabout here, we have the traffic moving straight down to this main road here. And we also need to make sure that we're providing connections to Florence Street, as this is a major connection for the Reuben neighbourhood. Let's start by clearing the area and building some new roads. Under the bridge, we'll place an extra large roundabout. And let's connect the two with these slip roads. Okay, let's take a quick look at the monstrosity I'm starting to build. So I'm again using Road Builder to create these super narrow roads. I'll just show you what we're working with here. So this is a sidewalk, 3.5 meters with a 3 meter wide car lane, and then I'm using a shoulder for the far side, which is at the maximum 2 meters. And this appears to connect quite nicely to regular roads. Sometimes you get those strange artifacts, but this looks really nice. And we've got the 4 lanes connecting up into the 2-lane overpass that goes up and over this little roundabout, which I'll explain shortly. And then we've got the 2 lanes heading into the roundabout itself. So you might be thinking, if you're on the bridge and you're coming across from the train station heading into town, you could quite easily head down towards where these flats are. But what if you wanted to turn down here? Well, I'm going to do something a little bit controversial, and I'm going to add a traffic light signal on the bridge itself. So I was playing around, I was testing it out in a little test build, and I was trying out all these crazy ramps to allow for easier traffic flow. But at the end of the day, I'm not building a highway, so having traffic lights on this road is absolutely fine. We've got bus stops, we've got everything that's going on down here at the tram line. So I don't know why I was trying to make this super efficient. So we're going to have a very similar road come out of here, but instead of turning left, we'll have it turning right. And then anybody that wants to head towards Florence Street here can come off, enter the roundabout, make a left turn, and then head straight out onto the road. And it might not be the most efficient path, but it does increase the overall throughput of vehicles in this area. So let's test it out. Okay, yeah, I might be a little bit crazy, but bear with me, it's working. We got Foggy Street, Crescent Street, which are aligning the side of what is now Myrtle Highway, heading up to this bridge here. We've got the little light section above the roundabout. And what's good about this light section, because we've aligned the roads into the node, these two lights are green at the same time. So if you're heading straight from the bridge down to the right of the screen here, or if you're heading from the right up and over the bridge, you will be moving at the same time, so it's a little bit more efficient. The one thing I don't like is we've got a right turn here, which we don't need because they can use the roundabout underneath. And yeah, let's have a quick look at what this looks like from above. So if you're heading from Crescent Street and you want to head down to Florence Street, you can go underneath this lighted intersection, use the roundabout, come around, and then onto Lindbergh Street, and then down onto Florence Street. And similarly, if you're on Florence Street, you can just simply go up to the roundabout, make a turn on Foggy Street. And this corner is a little bit tight, so we might want to put a slip road or something in. But it's a minor road, so we don't need to worry about too much specially detailed infrastructure. But what this allows us to do with the roundabout underneath here is to expand into these areas here along the river. And I do want to upgrade this road that runs along this river, which is currently Bedford Lane, just to provide a little bit more capacity through here and just open up this river section to some development or maybe just some homes. And it gives us the option for people to travel from this side of the town to the other side without necessarily impacting this major road through here. As you can see, we've preserved the grid all the way through here. We did lose a few buildings, but it gives us an opportunity to upzone today, and then we can also decorate this road with some trees. And I've used a similar road as I did on this one up here, where we've got the wide asymmetric road, because we don't necessarily have that much traffic heading towards the bridge itself, but coming off the bridge we do. And as it comes down to Bridge Road here, so this is Bridge Road as it's named after the oldest bridge in the city down there. And it's quite a busy intersection, so we want to make sure we've got enough throughput for vehicles through here. And then this allowed this corner here to be a little bit less sharp, which is quite nice. And everything seems to be running fairly smoothly. All we have to do now is start to develop this area. I'm not 100% sure what I want to put down here yet, because we do have this lovely woodland here along the river, and I don't necessarily want it to be super dense. So maybe we'll just put in a few special offices and kind of keep this fairly green, especially near the river. I think it'll be nice. Oh, look at that. We've got the big train coming in. Very nice. Very busy down by the train station, as always. I've overlooked one flaw in my plan, and that is pedestrian access. So this bridge comes with a pedestrian path on both sides of the road. And if you're down here, you've got okay access, not the best, but at least there is a path. It connects up. We've got a crossing here so you can get to the other side of the road if you need to. But over here, we've used highway roads, and highway roads do not include a sidewalk. So let's have a look at upgrading these roads, and at the same time we'll also reduce the speed from 100 to something a little bit more reasonable. It looks like these roads are 40, and I think these roads down here may be 50. So we'll have a look and see what we can do. Okay, so it looks like we can go down to around about 1.4 units. So this uses the 2 meter wide pedestrian paths, and then the lane widths are 3 meters each. And I was aiming to have the road at least no wider than the highway road that we use, but in fact we managed to squeeze a little bit more space out of it, making it a little bit more narrow. So let's go ahead and upgrade these, and let's make sure it doesn't get too funky. It looks like it goes from retaining wall onto bridge section there, so we'll have to have a look to see how that's behaving. We might need to adjust the road once again, and then we'll pop that one in there. So let's have a look at these artifacts here. Yeah, I'm not really pleased with that, so let's see if we can adjust this a little bit further in Road Builder and fix that. So it looks like 1.6 is as small as we can go, so 3.5 on each side with a 3 meter wide transport lane, and I'm happy with that. Any less and we do get those strange artifacts, and we do just have enough room for a vehicle to come through here, but it's a little bit tight at the top, so we just need to make some amendments here. Okay, I think that'll do. It's not perfect, and it is a little bit wider where we connect up to the regular street network here, but at least now we've got some pedestrian access through here, so people can walk across the bridge if they want. I know it's not the most desirable path, but it's the only option you've got around here. Unless you go further downstream, we've got a little pedestrian footpath that takes you into the cricket area. And we do have a little bit of an access path down here. And then that's pretty much it. Unless you're going to get the bus across, we do have a bus that stops here that we need to make sure is still working. Looks like it is for now. And then, yeah, you've got access down by the old bridge there. So it's not too bad. I'm pretty happy with it. You just see that big traffic jam that we just had there on the rails, and the main reason is these little depot parking tracks are just a tiny little bit too short, so you do get these trains sticking out just a little bit, and when a train wants to come back in and park next door to it, next door to their neighbouring train, they just get stuck. So I'm thinking if we could circumnavigate this by assigning shorter trains to our cargo rail lines. We have a look at the cargo rail lines and see what vehicle we've got attached to each one of these. So we only really need to look at the island freight. So this is the one that goes from the small port that we've got in the town here down to the big port on the other side of the coast. Have a look at the line overview. At the moment we're simply just using the regular cargo train and you can't change anything here. But if we select the locomotive model, you can see we've got all these options that come with Tygon's rail infrastructure pack. So I'm just going to pick one that is as short as possible, and I think the small EU freight train is our likely candidate. So we'll select that and we'll have a look and see if it makes any improvement to the area. Here we go. Here's the short one. So yeah, just one vehicle at the front this time, and I'm not sure if there's less car vehicles at the back. I think they're around about the same, but if we can get more of these spawning in rather than this one here, which is just far too long, we shouldn't see that many holdups in this area. And we already see that this train was blocking the high-speed train from exiting, so that was a very lucky, fortunate chance to remove that train. Okay, so I'm back to the bridge and I can see that we are having traffic issues. It's the morning, so we're going to start to see the traffic ramp up quite a lot. And I think the main issue is when Foggy Street is green, Phoenix Bridge Street is green as well. So any vehicles that are wanting to turn right are actually blocked. So I think we'll go into the advanced light tools, select on the node, and then let's turn on split phasing. So we've got regular split phasing or we've got advanced split phasing. Not really sure what the difference is, so we'll turn on the advance and see what it looks like. Okay, I think advanced split phasing is for a four-way junction because this is doing some really weird things. So let's try the regular split phasing for now. Okay, now we're cooking on gas. The traffic is moving. A little bit of a backup just from that situation, but I think we'll see this go down shortly. So I started putting a new road along this river here. I wasn't keen on having the quay wall all the way along here. I think they can be overused a little bit sometimes, and we've already got one on this side where we've got the rail depot. And I've gone ahead and added a new road connection in the same place that we had the pedestrian crossing that I showed you earlier. And this one shouldn't get that much use. It's connecting to a lot of slow roads and it doesn't really take you anywhere new. But it does help people connect up from the bottom side of Newbridge near the river into town if they need to, without having to go all the way up to this congested roundabout and up and over this main bridge here. So I quite like that connection. We've also got a sneaky little connection into the cricket ground, so if there were an accident or if this way is blocked and we see a lot of vehicles coming this way, there's a few different options for them to move around. And I'm even tempted to add an extra connection here where we've got Hemlock Lane, just to add a little bit more permeability through here. So I put down this new office on the corner here. There's no other building that's really appropriate for putting in such a busy corner between two roads. If you put residential in here, they could potentially start complaining about noise in the future or even air pollution. And I think this office just fits perfectly. So I know that I wanted to keep this area fairly green still, since we had quite a lot of woodland, and I did keep a little bit. I'll show you that shortly. Create this custom car park using the invisible parking roads. Lovely little crescent moon shape, and then I got that weird little fountain here, which to me just screams corporate America. So lots of people turning up to work. And at the back here, I did notice that we had some loading bays, so I made sure that we had access. Although this is a pedestrian street, vehicles can use it if they need to. And this is also the back of this other office that we've got here, and this is just regular zoned office, and I'm hoping that this does level up. And usually the level 3s and 5s have a few more floors than just the ground floor, so that should slowly grow over time and match the piece next to it. And then beside that, we just have a little bit of green space. And I did check, and these bus lines are still connected, I believe, and these take you straight up to the bus station if you need to. And then at the back here, this is where I've just put in a few row homes, and these are not locked. These can level up, and once they turn into level 5, there'll be those really nice kind of pointy Dutch looking buildings. But I'm actually really liking the vibe of this row here with the really nice colourful walls and terracotta roofs, but I'm quite happy to see them level up as well. And then beside that, I opened up the woodland just a little bit so that we've got a park. I added these 3 little heads, which I think are quite fun. It's all well lit at night. We've got lots of paths coming through here, so you can cut through here to get to the cricket ground, or you can go over this little bridge here. I'm pretty happy with that, and this block is pretty much done, and the traffic is doing okay. Again, it is midnight, so I seem to always be in the live play portion during the quiet periods, but overall traffic seems to be holding up in the city, and we're slowly expanding, and we're adding jobs, we're adding places to live, and we're adding new connections. Okay, so we've got a little corner done here, which I think looks absolutely stunning. We've got a whole mix of different assets through here. We've got a little bit of the Dragon Gate with the mixed use here, or maybe it's just commercial. Got a little row home here from the Northeast pack. And I think this is just a regular office, but it's one of the converted from the high density commercial assets. So it's a custom office zoning, which you can get on PDX mods. And then on the corner here, we've got this French office building. And altogether, it creates this very interesting corner. As you come over the bridge, you can see some of the palm trees, some of the balconies, some of the people working in there. This block is done. This was just all low residential at the time, and we do have demand for offices since we've got high unemployment at the moment. Even sneaked in a little bit of industry on this corner here, but we can't put too much because we are on top of a water table, which I believe is our drinking source. And then on the corner here, using some of these Northeast commercial assets, which I think look quite interesting. This area at the back here, I'm tempted to just duplicate some of these buildings that we've got on this side to create a bit more of a full block, and then we could have gardens in between. I think that might be quite nice. So I'm trying out this pack service gate. So this is a part of the service blocks mod, which has come out recently. So if we place this down, it creates a gate and it says pack. Oh, and then we can add things into our pack. And I don't think these need to be on a road either, do they? Okay, very interesting. So we've got a little tennis court here. Maybe we could sneak that down there. No, it's a little bit tight. But we could put down a little dog park at the end. I think that might be quite nice. And I think with this, it doesn't necessarily need a road connection, which is interesting. There we go. It's connected to this. You can see it's highlighted. And we've got a little tree park, which looks quite nice. Here we go. Let's have a look at that. Oh, very nice. And the paths are clipping just a little bit. So I don't know if we can select these. No, you can't pick them up with Move It because I think they're classed as sub-buildings. So you just have to settle with what you get. But yeah, that's quite nice. It'll make people come to this area now. And I don't think there's anything else we can add. We've got a park attractiveness modifier, which I don't think we need to do. We've got another little park feature here. Again, I don't really want to put this down somewhere where it can be a nuisance on the path, but I think that's quite a nice addition. Okay, not super detailed. Well, a little bit, but I didn't include any street lighting just because I don't think this space is going to be used at night. At least it'll be discouraged because you don't want there to be noise around a residential area. It's more of a daytime hangout spot. It's got a nice little flower garden to walk around. Got the little hangout area so you can take a seat or float into the ground. Added a little allotment section at the back here near the dog park, which is just hidden amongst all the trees to kind of dampen the sound down. And yeah, I'm pretty happy with that. I'm happy with the look of those blocks, and because these are zoned in, these will naturally start to level up over time up to level 5, similar to these over here. And yeah, that's filled out that section really nicely. And I am tempted a little bit to even lock these just so that we can get that gradual height through here. So I'm going to go and lock that one and that one. And then as you can see, we've got the slightly shorter building here, the longer building here, and then you've got the large building in the back there by the school. And I think that looks quite nice, that. We're in the middle of the city here, and this area lacks quite a lot of general city services that you would expect in the area. One being is education. So I think there is a few mostly elementary schools, but we don't have any high schools in this area. And I think this will be a really good opportunity to put down a large central city post office, because at the moment we've mostly just been using these small and medium-sized ones. And if we have a look at our telecom, it's not too bad around here. It's kind of greeny yellow, but if we can add some sort of telecom infrastructure that's in the center of the city, that'd be quite good. And I think I might be having a look at trying out some of the service blocks. So we go into communications and head down to telecom. Yes, we've got a whole bunch of telecom buildings, and this one might be perfect, but it's a little bit large. I don't really want to change the skyline just yet, so I'm going to opt to use this telecom service block. And what's quite common in the UK is they'll find large buildings that exist already in the city, like this one, and then they'll add telecom infrastructure to the top of them. And usually the residents or the owner of the building get a little bit of a kickback for allowing it. So we're going to see if we can put something in here. So we've got the block and we've got anarchy turned on, and all we have to do is just hide this somewhere. And it doesn't necessarily have to be in the building. We could even put it down at the front and then put a shed over it. So I think I might opt for that. So we'll put that here. And before we hide it, we need to activate it, as at the moment it doesn't do anything. The description says a telecom service block which requires upgrades to provide services. And if we open up the upgrades, we have a few options here which we still need to unlock. So to actually provide any network coverage, we need to add capacity. So we'll need to unlock the server farm for that. Okay, and we can just simply add this on, and it does add it on as a physical prop. So again, we'll have to hide this somewhere, and I'm just simply going to hide this one in the building itself. So we've added capacity. If we have a look at our info overview and see how that's affected our telecom coverage in the area, you can see it's very, very green. Very green, wow. And this metal shed from the Japanese asset pack looks like to be the perfect fit. So if we just zoom in here and align that up, click that on there, and it's completely hidden in there. And we could also have a look at adding some actual props onto the building itself, so it looks like it's providing telecom coverage. So if we go into our static ploppable service buildings and we head down to the communications tab, I believe we can add, here we go, yeah, a radio mast. So this will be perfect. Okay, and now we've got a physical representation of our new internet coverage in the city, and that provides a much needed boost to this area. Okay, let's go ahead and start putting down some of these other service buildings. The first is the high school. I'm going to use the urban high school here. This is a perfect fit in this block, and I don't want it facing the road. I want people to come down the side road to access it. And this is a really nice, colourful building through here. And this provides, at the moment, an extra 800 students. And we can also upgrade it in the future to include an extra 800 students as well, which is quite nice. We've got this nice park area on the roof there. And we can also add a gym extension, which I think might be worth doing now, just to add a little bit of height to that building. And that's really nice. That fits in there perfectly. We do have a little bit of a recreational area in the back here. But since it's an urban establishment, I'm sure some of the older kids can leave the campus and check out the local cafe or corner shops to get some sweets. And that looks really good. Over here, I'm going to place down the large post office. Gonna go for the Eastern European modernist post office. We've got a few post offices in here which are quite nice. So we've got the Japanese post office and the Eastern European one, but this Eastern European one has a really nice height to it, which I think fits really nicely near this bridge. And it also looks like an industrial asset, a warehouse, something that you might find near the water. So we line this up and place that here. And I think that fits quite nicely. We do have some pedestrian access issues, but we can sort that out in a second. But all around these edges, they look to be good. There's no overlap. Don't like this blank wall at the back here, so we can go ahead and add some of these upgrades, and that sits on the corner really nicely there. Though this vehicle entrance isn't ideal coming straight onto the roundabout, but this roundabout is such a minor road. It's I wouldn't even class it as like a major intersection. This is just to have safe and free movement of vehicles and people through the area. So having anything unload onto it isn't that much of a problem. And it kind of fits the style of Sunny Isle, which is a little bit chaotic. Also, we've got one of those issues again where the segment's just too short, and so it's not allowing traffic to come through properly. And that's because we've got Willow Street here and Spruce Street creating this awkward segment in the middle. So I wonder whether we can kind of merge these into one node. Okay, who doesn't love a massive, messy intersection? And I think that's what we've created here. And to be honest, I think we've definitely made it a lot worse. Doesn't this look like a casino on the corner here? Anyway, it's an office and it looks like a crappy office. I wouldn't want to work near such a busy intersection either. Is there a way we can optimize this? I'm not sure now. I think we may have just screwed it up. Originally, I had this as just a right turn only, so maybe we could turn that on. Oh, it was left turn only, so we can just come around here and turn that off. Let's turn off the traffic lights and just see what that looks like. And then if we only allow... Actually, no, I don't mind that being a giveaway here. And I think that should solve most of the issues. We do have a car crash on the bridge itself. But yeah, I don't want anyone turning right here, which they seem adamant of doing. And we don't want any right turns here either. So we can turn that off. We just have them merging straight on. Yeah, that looks okay. And not a lot we can do to fix that one. So yeah, I'm not 100% sure if this was the best idea. It's one of those awful little intersections which you hope that you'll never have to drive onto. I think all it really needs is some good line work, and we can come in and maybe add some new road paint ourselves, and then it will look a lot more orderly and organized. It's my first time drawing any sort of road markings in the game to this extent, but it gives you the idea of what you could do, and it does make this intersection seem a little bit more reasonable. Sure, we could add a few extra lines through here, such as road markings. Let's have a look. So this is a merge lane, so I'm guessing we could put something like that here. in between these two so that it doesn't look too strange. And I'm sure if we use our complex curve tool, we could get this to look super snazzy. There we go. Yeah, just simple little things like that. And since we're not going to be building that much in this area in the future, we don't really have to worry about those lines getting messed up when we edit the roads. So yeah, pretty happy with that. We do have a traffic light down here which is causing much of this congestion, but it is the middle of the night, so there really shouldn't be that much traffic. So maybe this isn't the most efficient network, but the traffic on the bridge isn't backing up all that much, is it? So we'll have to see how it does, or how it handles during rush hour. Okay, yeah, so we've got a little bit of mixed use on the corner here, which is quite nice. It's got that open courtyard feeling, so we don't have all the buildings kind of like backing up side to side. We've got a little bit of breathing room in here, which I think is important. And then along here, again, I'm using some of these custom mixed use office zoning, which is available in the PDX mod store. And these can level up naturally into more ornate buildings like we've got on the street over here. And then I did want to include some high density office, and this comes in the shape of the French pack. So although these look quite small, they can pack a punch when they come to the number of employees they've got in the building. So we've got a little bit of French here and along here. And what's nice about these little French assets is you can create almost like row home style office buildings, so they can fit in neatly into areas where you've not got a lot of space. On this corner here, we've got the Southwest mixed use building. So this has got some homes in the top, and we've got, looks like a bar in the bottom selling drinks and entertainment, which is quite nice. And I've just spotted we've got this little building here, which I think is also a part of the Southwest assets, which I didn't add, did I? Oh, did I? Maybe I did. Yes, I did. Yeah, I really like this. It's got this beautiful roof color, slightly different to everything else we've got in the area. But yeah, really happy with the way this area has turned out. Nice to see some development, some density coming through here. But I think what would elevate the area even further is adding a little bit of public transport. So at the moment we do have a taxi stand here in the middle of the neighborhood, and then we've got another one at the bottom down near the beach. We also have a tram stop, which is down here, and then I think the next one isn't up until the top of the road up here. So we could either add an extra tram stop in between these two, but I don't necessarily want to have too many tram stops on this road, so we could move one over. I think that might be a viable solution. But also I want to add a bus line that connects up to the bus station as well, and we can bring that all the way down to the beach. So this new bus line will start at Mont Clementine, which is our old town on the hill here. We've got a stop here, and this can be interacted with the shuttle that goes around the peninsula. We also have this tram terminus that has a couple of tram lines going through the area. I didn't want to overlap the green line that we've got running through the center of this neighborhood here. So this one goes along the beach instead and then goes through the new neighborhood. So we'll make a stop outside here. The next one is just on the beach front here, which for some reason I've lost the stop. So I'll just place a waypoint there as a temporary measure. And then we'll stop on the corner here so they can exchange at this tram stop if needed, which I've moved over by a block. And then we'll have another stop on this road just outside the school, and then we'll make the final stop down by the bus station, and then we'll just run this all the way back. And since we're using the bus station, we may as well update this to use the electric bus. And then for the color, we could perhaps keep it a similar color to this, but I'm thinking let's go for a peachy color. I think that would be quite nice. We need to rename the line as well. So this one starts at Newbridge and finishes at Mont Clementine. And I'm not entirely sure how much use that will receive, but we'll have a look and we'll monitor it. Okay, it's currently 10:30 in the morning and we're experiencing some leftover rush hour traffic. We've got loads of people streaming in via the high-speed and local train services. We've got the trams and the buses moving around, but you can see this bridge is absolutely chock-a-block full of cars, and I love to see it. So it is moving. If I just turn up the speed to 3, we can slowly start to see that dissipate. But if we just have a quick tour of what we worked on today. So working from the top, we've got this lovely little park here, which was originally a little bit of woodland, and we've opened it up, made it a special place. Got these 3 little heads, so maybe we can come up with a fun little name for this area. And we've got these little row homes along the river here, which I think is quite cozy. Again, I didn't put too much detail into the river. I want to come back at a later point and come through and entirely overhaul the river. And we might have some new mods and new assets at that point that will be able to help us do that a little bit easier. Lovely little office building with this crescent-shaped parking, which I think is lovely, especially up against the bridge, which isn't a very desirable area to live. Adding workplaces in this area that doesn't drive too much traffic is kind of the perfect balance when it comes to zoning these areas. Added a few little bollards along here just to add a little bit more detail to the street scene. And then at the back, I added a little bit of parking to this building because it was an awkward shape, and then even added this cute little back garden to this row home here, which is perfect for these awkward little spots. And then back here, we've got these interesting looking Japanese assets. So these are, I think, 4x6, and it's mostly surface parking, which I fully understand that you've got quite a lot of people living in these buildings. We've got 19 residents, but we've only got spaces for around about 12 cars. But over time, these will level up, and I've had a look at level 5, and it is a much larger residential block. So eventually, at some point, we will see larger buildings grow here. We've got the post office on this side. So this is a large post office building. We didn't have anything this size in the middle of the city, so this is a really good place to put this, especially near such a high traffic, noisy, polluted area near the bridge. And beside this, we've got the school. So the urban school. This is a lovely asset. We were very fortunate that it just fit nicely into that spot. I think at the moment we're almost at capacity. So we've got 700 out of 800 available places filled. So we may need to add that upgrade sooner than later. And I went ahead and added this little tennis court on the side here, which I'd like to imagine is an extension to the school. A little storage area where the handyman can keep a few bits, toilet roll, etc. And then I even managed to squeeze in a little bit of UK residential here, which isn't the most attractive, but it's something that you would see in London. These awkward little spots that have once been quiet little streets, and they've slowly been upgraded and built around, and now they are surrounded by skyscrapers. We even managed to squeeze in a little invisible parking spot there for someone to keep a car. And then the rest of the street is pretty self-explanatory. It's all fairly dense, medium density, not high density, but we've got a mix of street-facing shops with residential on top. Along the road here, we've got some office on the side here. And then in the back of these blocks, I'm mostly just using residential, keeping the commercial, anything noisy away from people that live here. Apart from maybe this street here, where we've got a few of the smaller shops, the ones that don't have as much frontage, don't have as much advertisement, and so they haven't received as much care and attention over the years, and you can tell by the quality of the buildings. And then we did complete this estate here, which might not be the most desirable area, given that it's mostly filled with very small homes, but you do get access to this beautiful community park, this linear park that we've built through the centre. And we've got the allotments, we've got the seating areas, the dog park, and then we've just pretty much upgraded the whole central area of our city and added so many more job opportunities, city services, and better access through the area. And that's where we'll leave things for now, eh? This was one of those episodes where I kept asking myself, am I fixing things or just moving the mess around? But that's city building, right? We've rebuilt the south side of the Phoenix Bridge with a layered road system, added new city services, telecom infrastructure, schools, a post office, and some much needed residential and office space. It's denser, more connected, and somehow still chaotic, but in a way that feels lived in. As always, I'd love to hear your thoughts. Was this intersection madness or a clever workaround? What would you have done differently? Let me know in the comments. Until next time, take care, and I'll see you back here in sunny Isle. Goodbye.